This is top games that made you feel like a god. I always thought that the most important question the game should give an answer to is what can I do in this game? What can I be? Not long ago I made a video where I said that games forgot to be fun nowadays, implying that games are afraid to give the gamers powers. You can check it out, the link will be in the comment section. So in this video we will make a top of games that give the player powers. A disclaimer though, it is a subjective top because it is hard to compare absolutely different powers. But bear with me. Also, if I miss some games, feel free to write them in the comments. Number 9, God of War 2018. You literally play as the God of War. You can't get a more god experience than being a god yourself. I'm talking specifically about the prologue of the game, where you first get to experience the Spartan Rage mode in a fight against Baldur, yet another god. Long story short, Baldur beats Kratos, the MC of the game, and then the game gives us the ability to activate the Spartan Rage mode. Kratos instantly heals and gets a huge power buff. It was extremely cool and cinematic, but unfortunately in the rest of the game this power does not work like in the prologue. The healing power of that ability is much lower, the duration of that ability is much shorter, and the destructiveness is far more grounded than in the scripted prologue of the game. So even though the game is literally one of few 10 out of 10 games, in terms of power that the game gives us, it is not that great. Number 8, the game Control. Even though on paper Jessie's Faden abilities does not sound that crazy overpowered, but on the bright side she can use her abilities at will, whenever she wants. Not only in scripted parts of the game, and she doesn't have to charge any gauges or stuff like that. Now, Jessie has a lot of abilities. Create a shield to protect herself, mind control over NPCs, ability to dash short distances, create a strong push for melee attack, slam on the ground with great force. But the most cool of her abilities are levitation and telekinesis. Well, levitation is self-explanatory. Frankly, I don't know why more games don't allow you to levitate. It is extremely cool. And telekinesis, you can launch at enemies different objects, be it a chair, a fire extinguisher, or even another NPC. And when there are no objects to be thrown in the vicinity, Jessie rips off a piece of concrete wall and throws it at the enemies. Now that's cool as F. Also, you can catch grenades that enemies shoot at you and throw them back. Again, even though these abilities are not that crazy overpowered, but all of them together work really well, and the fact that you can do it at will gives the player a really cool feeling of power.
I need more power.
Number 7, Final Fantasy XVI. Well, talking about playing as a god, how can we not mention Final Fantasy XVI, where you literally transform into a god, which is extremely cool and cinematic. Well, Ifrit is actually a demon, not a god, but his power actually rivals those of gods, so it doesn't actually matter. You transform into this demon to fight other gods and other mythical creatures, and your power in this mode is really destructive. So why is it that low on the top, you may ask? Well, because you can just go and flex this power on regular NPCs and outside of scripted events. So it is like if you would be a billionaire, you would be rich. But if everybody is a billionaire, then you are not rich, you are middle class. The same we have here. Yes, you are basically a god, but you fight other gods, and your attacks don't do much damage to them, so you don't feel that overpowered.
What form of power is this?
Number 6, The Witcher 3. And here, we will of course talk about the Lady of Space and Time, aka Ciri. Particularly, the last time we get to play as her in the game. Here Ciri is at the peak of her strength after training with Avallac'h. Canonically, Ciri is the strongest creature in the Witcher universe. Her bloodline was literally breeded to create an extremely powerful mage. Ciri can travel to different worlds and even travel in time. The only issue is that she can't control her magical abilities that well. Aside from that, Ciri is a very skilled fighter. She was trained like a Witcher, and even though she didn't go through the Witcher mutations at the time of The Witcher 3, she was skilled enough to kill Leo Bonnard, someone that had a nickname a Witcher Killer. He killed 3 Witchers and had 3 medallions to prove that. Fun fact, That's why Ciri had a cat medallion. She took one medallion off Leo Bonnard as a trophy, so she didn't receive a medallion, she earned it. So just by the fact that Ciri killed Leo Bonnard, we can definitely say that Ciri is an extremely skilled swordsman. And when her swordsmanship and her magic abilities combine at the end of The Witcher 3, we get a very cool sequence where Ciri is just one-shotting the Wild Hunt soldiers. Also, she can teleport and is killing enemies by dashing through them. In general, that mission on the lake was extremely cool, and definitely gave you a taste of power. Though I have a feeling that Ciri will lose majority of her magical abilities by mutating in The Witcher 4, which is sad. Now, before we move on, if you're still watching it, then make sure to leave a like, subscribe and ring the notification bell. That will help a lot. I make videos on a broad variety of video game topics. For example, another top about top traitors in the gaming industry. Let's move on.
I've got all the power I need, right here.
Now, for number 5, we'll have Assassin's Creed games. Yes, not a particular game, but specifically when we get to use the Apples of Eden. Apples of Eden are objects created by an ancient civilization named Isu, that ruled our world and quite literally controlled humans and using us for labor. Essentially, what you need to know is that Assassin's Creed games were originally historic sci-fi games, not historic fantasy games like Ubisoft is making them nowadays. But I digress. Now, Apples of Eden that are technology not magic are not the only pieces of Eden. There are more forms of Isu artifacts. Some pieces of Eden are made to control people, some are made as weapons or even as healing items. Now, in general, Assassin's Creed lore is very subtle, and I doubt that Ubisoft writers nowadays know what the hell they're writing. So, now that you know the basics, we will skip the explanation part. We're here to talk about powers, and Apples of Eden provide powers. There are a lot of instances of Apple of Eden usage. By Altair in Assassin's Creed Revelation, by Ezio in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, by Arno in Assassin's Creed Unity. Maybe even more that I forgot about, but in general, in those instances, those apples work like "Now you die" button. Now, overall, when we get to use Apples of Eden and Assassin's Creed games, it is always cool, and we're finally able to use some powers.
Its power, you see, is all I ever wanted.
Number 4. Final Fantasy XV. There are a couple of instances where you get power in Final Fantasy XV. Now, first of all, you play as Noctis and you are a prince. And you can summon the power of previous kings in battle, also known as Armiger. It is like a power-up mode where you are surrounded by numerous weapons of previous kings. In this mode, you not only get a power-up, but you also get new combos and new moves. Also, besides this mode, you get a couple of ultimates, where you basically summon gods and they perform a super powerful attack. Well, of course you need to beat those gods beforehand, that's how it works. In general, the game gives powers, it is very cinematic and very stylish. Now, overall, Final Fantasy XV, especially with all the DLCs that are absolutely worth it, in my opinion is a very underrated game.
Might controls everything, and without strength, you cannot protect anything.
Now, for number 3, since we're talking about powers, how can we not talk about Devil May Cry games? Particularly, Devil May Cry 5, since it provides the most powers. Well, first of all playable characters are descendants of the legendary Dark Knight Sparda, the right hand of the Demon King Mundus. Though Sparda rebelled against his own kind for the sake of the human race, and betrayed the Demon King Mundus. Later he had 2 sons, Virgil and Dante. Long story short, we will talk about Virgil, the Alpha and Omega. Even though I think Dante is stronger, we will talk about Virgil because he is cooler. Well, what can Virgil do? First of all, his style. Virgil uses the Dark Slayer style, which means he can teleport. He can teleport to an enemy to attack, away from an enemy to avoid attacks, or above the enemy to perform a strike from above. And even though it is not a separate move, but when Virgil teleports he disappears for a moment, which means you can dodge attacks without distancing yourself from the enemy. I used it a lot. Furthermore, in DMC5, instead of a classic Devil Trigger like in any other DMC game, Virgil creates a doppelganger that copies his moves, which means that you do way more damage. Also, while you're in the Devil Trigger mode, you can heal your wounds. But wait, that's not it, because Virgil can use his Devil Trigger while using his Sin Devil Trigger, which means your Sin Devil Trigger gets a doppelganger for even more power. And to top it off, Virgil got 3 ultimates in DMC5. Deep Stinger, Hell on Earth and Judgment Cut End, which is my favorite because it looks the coolest, even though the strongest one is Hell on Earth. Virgil can perform 4 of those ultimates in a row in his Sin Devil Trigger mode. Basically enough to obliterate everything, though I like it using more in his human form. You get more aura points that way, even though you use all the SDT gauge at once. And the last one, Virgil can take out V for a walk. In this instance, Virgil heals while V attacks everything in the vicinity. Again, a huge respect to Capcom that they not only did not roll back on the powers in DMC5, but they actually gave us
More power.
Now, for number 2 we will have Clair Obscur Expedition 33. And this is a spoiler warning, because this one is tied to the plot of the game. The video has timecodes though, so you can skip this section. Now, there are 6 playable characters in the game, but of course we're gonna talk about Alicia, also known as Mael. Now about the plot reasons why Mael is OP. Again, a spoiler warning. The world of Clair Obscur exists inside a painting. You can think of it as a computer simulation, and painters are basically gods of this world. From the very beginning of the game, we learn about the paintress that supposedly paints death and invokes the flowers of Gamache. Gamache from French means erase. Every year, the paintress presumably erases people over a certain age, and our mission is to stop her. People inside the painting don't know that they are also painted. They just think that the paintress just has supernatural powers. Now, long story short, at the end of Act 2 we find out that Mael is also a paintress from the real world, and her real name is Alicia. She entered the canvas to help her father get out her addicted mother out of the painting, but since she was an inexperienced paintress, things went wrong, and she got reborn in this painted world. Wow, now that I think of it, I just realized that Clair Obscur is technically an isekai. Now, when Mael finally remembers that she's a paintress as well, you get a lot of cool powers. 3 new extremely powerful Void-type damage attacks, a new lightning attack that puts her in the virtuous stance in one move, and finally a new radiant attack, Gamache. Yes, the power to erase something from the canvas. With the right build in the virtuous stance, it is not that hard to deal like 20 million damage with Gamache. It is enough to one-shot almost all bosses, except Simon and the Painted Love, which makes sense because they are the real Clair's creations, not the painted Clair's creations. Now, besides that, if we're not talking about the gameplay abilities, but about the abilities that Mael uses in cutscenes, we can mention the power to revoke immortalities of the Painted Desandra family. And the last one. She basically, like a necromancer, raised an army of undead expeditioners to fight her father.
This is power.
And finally, number 1 on the top, and you know what it is because of the thumbnail. Cyberpunk 2077 – Unleash the Black Wall. At the end of one of endings of Phantom Liberty DLC, we get to use the Black Wall. You literally get a Now You Die button, and in this instance we can see the horror of the Black Wall, how easy it kills. Now, there are many scary things in the Cyberpunk universe, but the scariest thing in Cyberpunk is not gangs like Scavengers, not cyber freaks like Adam Smasher, not even Arasaka and the Soul Killer. It is the Black Wall and what is beyond it. So what is the Black Wall and what is beyond it? Beyond the Black Wall is the old net that swarms with rogue AIs that don't think of humanity more than unnecessary and annoying flies that don't deserve to live. In the alternative ending to the Phantom Liberty DLC, we can actually see a rogue AI literally possessing Songbird's body, and it almost broke free. Besides a few monks, all humans have cyberware that can be hacked by those AIs. But even those who can't be hacked will not survive because the AIs can control all the military equipment. It can be hacked and controlled. The AIs though don't have bodies and can't be killed. And the only thing that protects the humanity from this fate of slaughter is the Black Wall. But ironically enough, it is also an AI. For now, the Black Wall protects humanity, but for how long will it stay on our side? What will happen if the Black Wall will also go rogue? The Black Wall release that we're able to perform in the game is actually a small and controlled release of the Black Wall. If it will go rogue, the thing that now happens on the screen would happen all over the world in a matter of seconds. And because of that, the Black Wall is top 1 on the list. Now that's it for now, but check out my other videos. Subscribe and ring the notification bell. See you there.